Welcome to Inside the Moms Club. I'm your host, Monica Samuels, and I'm here with my lovely co-host, Julie Orchid. Hello,
Hey,
Julie.
happy 2026.
I know. I can't believe we're already in a brand new year, and it's exciting.
It's thrilling that we keep going.
And yes. There's a lot of great things happening with Inside the Moms Club, and we're so excited about it.
I'm really excited about today's show.
I am too. But before we get to that, I have to share something with you. So,
okay, tell me about your week.
I've never had this happen before, but I have a mom crush. Do you know what a mom crush is?
I do.
It doesn't make me a cougar or anything. It's not that kind of crush.
It's not that kind of crush.
I have a crush. I love this kid who, I love my kids are perfect and wonderful too. So this would not be like, oh, I would love to replace my kids with this kid. But if only I could have one. If I could have one more child, I would have Fernando Mendoza.
I feel like you're going to break out in song, but yeah.
Yeah. I've been singing that all day yesterday. All the way over here. I drove all the way over here. It was like, it was happening in the air tonight.
Yeah.
Whatever.
He is an absolute doll. I don't have a son, so it is thrilling to watch what's been happening with him.
Okay. Well, he's good looking. He's athletic, obviously. He's brilliant. But more importantly than anything else, he adores and loves his mother. Yes. Did everyone hear that Heisman speech he made?
I hear it because it's on repeat in your car when we're, it's really good. It's really good.
It's very inspirational.
Yeah, I love it.
When he was doing that, I thought, I took my son, who's perfect, by the way, great kid, but I took him from the time he was 5, his early years of baseball. I did everything.
Yeah,
I was
biggest
there
supporter. You and his mother are one and the same as far as when it comes to, you know what I mean, supporting your kid and biggest dreams. And like he said, this trophy is as much mine as it is yours, and that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, he credited her with everything.
Yeah.
So what a good Fernando, we love you.
What a game.
If you need to be adopted for some strange reason, call me.
I think he's good, Monica.
I think he's going to be
I think he's good, but anyway.
I am a little worried about him getting drafted, though, by Las Vegas Raiders. Don't you think that's a bad... Maybe he can bring some light into that situation.
I can talk college ball all day. Pro football, you're going to have to teach me.
I'm going to have to. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that we learned, by watching the Heisman and the game and everything, is his mom has multiple sclerosis.
Well, I think a lot of people notice that she is in a wheelchair. And so they obviously naturally start asking questions. What's going on? So we have learned a lot. I happen to know a lot about MS, but the world has learned a lot about it.
Yeah. Well, now, and you know.
I know because I do have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed in May 2017, and I've done really well. I have an amazing team of doctors, and I'm super fortunate to be on the better side of MS.
And you've done so well that if you had not told me you had it, I wouldn't know.
I don't know that a lot of people know. They do now.
So, well, yes. No, it's
life-changing.
Right.
It's definitely something, and I think this goes for any diagnosis that you have, but really a diagnosis, my kids were, this started a little bit before I was completely diagnosed. I started with an ALS doctor, and I think it takes a lot of times. It's the kind of disease that doesn't present right away and tells you exactly what you have. So you go through all, your symptoms and what happened. So it is definitely something that you have to chip away at. And you wonder am I going to walk? Am I not going to walk?
I've learned a lot about it through you.
Yeah.
But I've also learned a lot about it by going with you to the Race to Erase MS Gala in Los Angeles.
It was incredible.
Which was incredible. And we are excited to have with us today to learn more about MS.
Yes.
And what we can do to help with our guest today, who is a dedicated philanthropist, jewelry and clothing designer, and author. At the age of 33, she was diagnosed with MS. And rather than accept her doctor's prognosis that
Yeah.
she would never even be able to operate a TV remote control someday, she tackled MS head on, founding the Race to Erase MS, an organization which is dedicated to funding research through its Center Without Walls. And to date, they have raised over $56
Mm.
million. She's the proud mother of 5 children, including a daughter who I'd love to introduce to my son. Please welcome Nancy Davis. Welcome to the Moms Club.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us. So, tell us a little bit about your journey with MS. How were you diagnosed? I know you were 33 years old and you were at the time a mother of 3 children, but tell us a little bit about how you learned that you had MS.
I had a ski accident, and about 3 weeks later, I woke up and started losing the feeling in various different parts of my body. Every 3 days, I would lose kind of another sensation. I first lost the feeling in the 3 fingertips of my right hand, 3 days later, my whole hand. Then 3 days later, the 3 fingertips of my left hand. Then 3 days later, my whole hand. Then my stomach lost feeling. Then I started, having double vision, and it just every day there was something new. And I figured it had to do with my ski accident. Went to my doctor, and I got diagnosed kind of quickly because most people it takes a while, especially back then. The MRI machines were not as sophisticated as they are today. It took like 7 hours when I did it. It was a real long one. Today they can do the same thing in an hour, which is great. But I remember, the doctor coming in the next day and, pointing to all these MRIs of me and saying, "Look at your brain, look at your spinal column." I'm like, "Uh-oh, this isn't good. This is not gonna be a good outcome." And I was terrified. And, then he said, "Okay, you have a disease called MS. You're very lucky." I'm like, "I'm very lucky." He goes, "Yeah, you're lucky you don't have a brain tumor." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
What I knew of MS at the time, I didn't feel very lucky whatsoever. When I, asked my doctor, "Okay, so, what can I do for my MS?" And he said, "Just go home and go to bed." I said, "For how long?" He goes, "Just forever." I'm like, "Whoa, I'm 33. I'm a young mom with 3 kids. All that mattered to me is that I could continue to be a mom and take care of my children." And it was terrifying. I know I'm incredibly lucky I was able to go get second opinions, and I got second, third, and fourth opinions, and along the way, met some of the greatest doctors in our country. And but I listened to the research that they were doing at the time, and they all sounded really hopeless that there would never be anything for MS. They were working on the same identical studies at Harvard, at Yale, at the Cleveland Clinic, at Johns Hopkins, and it was like every doctor's doing the same thing. So I was listening to that and thinking, you guys are all working in a vacuum and you're not communicating. And but if we could ever find a cure for MS, it's going to take a big team of the greatest doctors around the country to collaborate, to talk, to never duplicate research, but to constantly communicate on a monthly basis. So back, back in the day, it was very virtual before its time. We started the Center Without Walls, which is 7 of arguably the best MS doctors in our country that were going to work as a team with that philosophy. Never duplicate, constantly communicate. It made all the sense in the world to me. I was terrified. I kept looking at my babies and thinking, I had them to be a parent, to guide them, to be there for them, not for them to have to take care of me, to feel sorry for me or whatever. And so luckily, we put this great team together. We had a lot of great ideas along the way. Some did work, some didn't work. But today, to look at there's going to be FDA approval very soon on the 25th drug for MS. That's
Yeah.
Wow.
really nothing short of a miracle. We can't take credit for all those, but about 18 of those we did the pilot studies, which is what we do. We fund pilot studies with Race to Erase MS, and we get it to a certain point. Then the big drug companies do come in and they put the big money and get FDA approval. But we take it to like a phase 1 or phase 2 study, and if it's got merit, that people are very interested in doing that. So very excited to know that today that person like me, a young a young mom being diagnosed, has about a 90 to 92% chance of living a better quality of life, and being independent and with the drugs which we did do the pilot studies for with Dr. Hauser at UC San Francisco that turned into Ocrevus and Kesimpta, they're the game changers for this disease. And the idea at the time was like, why are your T cells attacking each other? What's the mechanism that makes that start? So we figured out when your B cells are elevated, that's when it starts. So if we could kind of kill your B cells, get rid of your B cells, maybe we would come up with something great. At the time, everybody thought that was a horrible idea. um, I thought it was a great idea, and, we worked together for a long time, and, um, out of that first came Ocrevus, which is, it kills your B cells, you have an IV twice a year. Then came Kesimpta, which is a different delivery system, basically, also kills your B cells, but you have a shot. You give yourself a shot once a month, and it does kind of the same thing, and some people are better on one, some people are better on another one, depending on, who you are.
I'm curious in terms of the symptoms. So you had an injury. Did that trigger something? What did you have any other symptoms? I'm always big on like finding out the symptoms of things. Of course, I'm a hypochondriac, so then I think I have everything. So those of you out there like me who are hypochondriacs, don't take this to mean that this is you. But was there any clue you had that anything else happening?
Well, you probably get MS somewhere between the ages of 15 to 25, but it lays dormant in your body. And by having an accident, going through an illness, going through a traumatic time, one of those three things will kick off your MS. It's laying dormant in your body. So you probably don't know exactly what was constant in the environment. You got it when you got it. I have theories about it, and it's hard to prove them, but I feel like I lived in Denver, Colorado. The incidence of MS in Denver was 10 times higher than it is in California where I now live, and that made me more susceptible. But there's something about the cold weather climates around the world, above the 40th parallel worldwide, the incidence of MS is 10 times higher.
Oh,
So
wow.
even like
Interesting.
in Norway and Sweden, New York, the very cold weather places have, and then you say, "So what is about the environment?" And I just remember being 15 and going on a field trip, to the Denver Botanical Gardens, and they keep those things up with like they put bubbles over tennis courts, pools, all kinds of things when you're in Denver, and there's this thing about, what is making that stand up when the snow melts, when the ice melts, seems like there's these germs that get in the air that could actually turn into something like MS or something, and people don't clean them properly or whatever, or this the change in temperature. I think it has something to do with it, but I somehow remember that when I left the Denver Botanical Gardens back then, I ended up getting the worst flu I'd ever had in my life. I ended up in the hospital. It was like the Hong Kong flu at the time, and I guess somehow I feel like, that was around that age, and I never felt so sick my whole life. I feel like I can't breathe. I don't know, for sure. It's hard to prove it, but I went to a very small high school in Denver with like 100 kids graduating, and 5 other people have MS.
You brought up a really good point, Nancy. So my aunt had MS, and there's different types of MS. She had primary progressive. I happen to have relapse remitting, and it's interesting. We don't really know. Is it genetic? Is it stress? Is it? There's a lot of things that. What's weird about this disease is that we just really don't know. I too, your story is very similar. I had a traumatic fall, and then things started rolling from there, and same symptoms, the vision, the neuropathy, which is the tingling in your hands and your feet and everything, is the main one, and balance. So it was everything that you're saying. I'm nodding my head going, yes, that happened to me. It's not the same for everyone, but what are the thoughts on some of the research that you have gone, with all the board of doctors and everything that you've been on? What are they saying about the cause of it?
When I went through it, I was on the verge of getting divorced, and I did. When I saw how my husband reacted at the time to my being diagnosed, it became very apparent that that level of stress that was being caused from my marriage was going to hurt my MS. And a book I was reading at the time, there was no drugs at all on the market, and very little hope that there ever would be. And I was reading all these books and different things that you basically had to check out of the library. It was very hard to get the information then when I was first diagnosed. So it was actually 34 years ago. And so by getting all this information, I think everybody was sort of guessing. There was a lot of guessing going on as to what My symptoms back then are a little different than they are today. In the beginning, it was always numbing and losing my eyesight. And there's something I have that made it a definitive diagnosis that I'd had it for many years before I was ever diagnosed, called Lermite syndrome. Whenever you put your head forward, you'll go numb from your waist down, and you put your head back up, and it's normal. It doesn't hurt, it's not painful, but it's kind of a bizarre sensation. And so when I told the doctor when I went to get a second opinion about it, he goes, "Oh my god, there's everybody with Lermite syndrome has MS, but not everybody with MS has Lermite syndrome." And I'm like, "Okay, so how did these doctors," and I remember telling a doctor that I'd had that feeling. They kinda looked at me like, "Eh, she's complaining, she's crazy, she's whatever." But it's a very definitive sign, and, but not everyone with MS will have it, but I did, and to this day, I do have it off and on. It's not painful, but it's very indicative of MS. I just started losing all the feeling everywhere, and, it just became very bizarre, and then I'm like, "How far is this gonna go? Am I gonna lose, every ability I have in my body? Is this gonna keep happening?" And at the time, they said you could take steroids, um, but my little sister was diabetic, and there would be a good chance if I start taking steroids that I would become diabetic as well, and steroids don't make people feel very well, actually, so I did not do that. Back then, I went to a homeopathic doctor, which a lot of people actually do not believe in, but I've learned, that it's been incredibly helpful for my particular MS. I'm not saying it's right for everybody, but when I did, it really helped me, and to this day, when I have an MS attack, I go to the same, doctor. He's really quite amazing. He's a homeopathic doctor. Not all homeopathic doctors are created equal, by the way.
Right.
Some he went to college as long as a normal doctor goes, plus 4 more years. And there's certain ones who are just incredibly qualified, but, to this day, when I'm having an attack, it's one of the things I do, and, I take his drops. He finds what your body's deficient in, and it seems to help me, within about 4 days, which is pretty amazing, and,
Mhm.
a lot of traditional doctors don't like homeopathic drugs, but you have to do and you have to listen to your body, and whatever works for you is what's right.
Exactly.
So, most of the drugs that they've come up with since you were first diagnosed, I understand they help stop the progression. So, if you're diagnosed earlier, they can give you these things and it will slow the progression. Is that correct? Or have we gotten to a place where we're closer to a cure?
We just had all of our doctors here, and it was fascinating to listen. Like, we were trying to identify, what do you call a cure? If you can stop people from having attacks, even though they pretty much consider that a cure. So these drugs, Ocrevus and Kesimpta, they are almost like a cure for people. They don't work on everybody. Some people, have to have blood work done if they have a susceptibility of getting PML or something like that. They cannot take these drugs. Some people with primary progressive MS, these medicines actually help to a degree, but we are still, we're still working as hard as we can. We're having lots of events. We want to be able to help 100% of every person who's got MS, and we need to come up with ways to remyelinate. We don't yet know how to remyelinate. So if you can stop before it starts, which is what these drugs do, it's amazing, and especially for somebody newly diagnosed before you have all these attacks and all this demyelination. The word multiple means many. The word sclerosis means scars. So there's many scars forming on your brain and your spinal column, and the little bits that are eating away are called the myelin sheath. It's kinda like a telephone cord. Actually, I have one right here. I don't know if this means anything. Our spine is kinda like if my phone wouldn't work well if I had little bits of, things eaten away on this cord, and it's very much the same in our body. That's our myelin sheath. This is covering the wires. Well, our myelin sheath is covering the wires in our body, and then sometimes you might have pain, or you might be able to send a message out correctly to your body. You have numbing, you have fatigue. It's I don't know. MS is, not ever one size fits all. People have different symptoms that occur. And as I get older, I don't have as much of the numbing as I do pain,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I prefer the numbing versus the pain. But I guess I don't really have a choice. That's kind of
Yeah.
how it
I
manifests itself.
Nancy, you've mentioned a lot of the stuff about the symptoms and that everybody has something different, but there's a part of MS that a lot of people don't necessarily talk about, and that is the mental side of MS. A lot of people can really experience a large bout of depression, or if you don't have support, um, any of that? You mentioned that you got a divorce and that you have other support now. Can you speak to a little bit about that? And I mean, because you've mentioned a homeopathic doctor, and I feel personally, for my own story, that that is critical. That you're able to really radically self care, and the mental health part is a big part for me.
But people don't always talk about is most most people, let's see, at least 90% of people when they're first diagnosed, by by having MS, it makes you depressed.
Hmm.
One of the leading causes of death with people with MS is suicide, and
Mm.
we were
Yeah.
one center door center without walls, and we really seeked out a hospital that would address this issue about depression. Some of the medicines make you depressed, but there are ways of dealing with it, which are really important to get mental health and not, be ashamed to get it because it's a definitive part of getting MS. There's a wonderful doctor named Dr. Adam Kaplan who is been part of our group forever, and he really deals with that, and he prescribes differently, and he has a lot of really amazing tools. And I think you can't look the other way because that's a really, really important part of it. A lot of people also, because they're in such pain, they get addicted to other drugs,
Yeah.
and creates yet a whole 'nother problem, with depression and taking drugs at the same time. It can really create a much bigger reaction in your body and make it very hard to get better.
Yeah. What is your exercise routine like? What do you do? What helps you?
Lately, I've had sciatica, which is not very comfortable,
Yeah,
but
that's
before
not fun. Yeah.
yeah, so I haven't been as active, as I'm going to physical therapy today, gosh,
Yay.
but, I think walking is one of the best things that you can do no matter what, and I know a lot of people have their cell phone, and you can put it under health, and you can, measure the amount of steps you take every day, and I found myself doing that a lot, and you kinda get competitive with yourself, and you can, first you can do, 3,000 steps, and you can do 5,000 steps, then you can get up to 10,000, whatever is good for you and comfortable. And just sometimes when you can't get a whole workout in, just the idea of, walking, up and down the hallway, walking outside, just getting the steps, I think just it's so important to have, the muscle memories. I do Pilates too, and, I ski, I do, different things. I used to be much better about my exercise routine, but in the last, like, 2 months, I've just had this sciatic, and it's like
That's painful. And so you're an incredible inspiration, because what it does is that people know that now that you've had MS for many, many years, and they know that they can have a active, you know, normal life. So thank you for sharing your story.
Well, I would say so. Everything she's described in exercise, I should aspire to do, and I'm totally think I'm
and
well.
carry your cell phone on you. You can, like, look at it every day, like, you can kinda make a chart for yourself and see,
Yeah.
how much are you walking? Was it comfortable? Was it uncomfortable? Just, like, even in the morning, just, like, even if you can't do a whole exercise routine, you don't have a whole half hour, a whole hour, and to do 10 minutes is just walking is it's okay, and then you can do 10 minutes later. You can do whenever it works for you, or even if it's 5 minutes, just the idea that you are moving and you're keeping your muscle memory going, because that's one of the things that gets very confusing when you have MS.
It doesn't have to be CrossFit.
Yeah, well, that's good news for me.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy, we have a group of moms who'd like to ask you some questions as well, and they are our Zoomer moms. So welcome, Zoomer moms. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Hi,
Thank you.
everybody.
Welcome,
Uh,
ladies. Well, I'm going to introduce you, and I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and if you have a question for Nancy. Welcome, Dee Dee. Welcome to the Moms Club.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Dee Dee Stafford. I am a retired jail sergeant, now a realtor here in the DFW Metroplex. My partner and I own and operate Keep On Real Estate Solutions here and in Southeast Texas. I have a perfect 6-year-old daughter, and I'm happy to be here. I'm ecstatic to be here because I do have a question, Nancy. So I have a close friend whose sister was recently diagnosed with MS. When I met her 9 years ago, she was fine, but now she is wheelchair bound. So I just wanted to know more so what advice you would give to her family and to the people that support her while they navigate this, and that would also help them
Okay, so with MS and probably with a lot of other diseases, when one family member has a disease, everybody in the family has the disease because everybody is your support system, and life changes around the person with MS depending on how well you're doing or not. And it's very important to have those relationships and not feel guilty. Even when you go to a doctor, it's
Mhm.
really important to get a friend or a family member with you. Sometimes it's hard to get the doctor's appointment, and by the time you get there, you get like a little nervous and you don't know what to say, but it's good to have a list when you go to the doctor, but it's great to have somebody with you who hears it because sometimes you don't hear the whole thing, and it's really important that your family also might ask questions on things they're seeing about you. So it's I think the best thing you could ever do is include your family. Don't act like, "Don't worry about it, don't worry about me." They need you and you need them.
That's true.
That's a great answer, and yeah, that's true for any illness. I know my mom had cancer, and I went with her because she wasn't even really able to listen effectively because what she was feeling, so I was her advocate there, which I think is great. Cricket, welcome to the Moms Club. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and do you have a question for Nancy?
My name is Cricket Wheeler. I live in Silver Strand, which is up in Ventura County, north of LA. I have 3 adult children, and I'm a semi-retired TV producer in that I still produce a couple shows a year, live shows, but I also am a program director for a local charity. And so I'm really interested in the work you do with, um, with your charity. My question is, it's so complicated. Where do you really get the strength to stay motivated? You're such a good role model, and you're trying to make a difference, on the public stage. Like, how do you stay motivated and maintain your peace of mind?
That's a very good question. You know what? I feel like, when I started getting MS, I part of me wanted to go hide.
Yeah.
Part of me didn't deal with it. Part of me didn't wanna talk about it with other people. Then I finally decided I'm just gonna tell absolutely everybody at a certain party that I have it. I wanna, get over that so there's not that fear of telling people. And I don't know. I it made me motivated. Everybody's been loving and supportive of me. We have an event every year, but we have several doctors' conferences per year. And I feel that if my best work I can do is to help other people, and it feels good inside. It makes you feel better about yourself. And I have my days when I'm exhausted and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do this, I have to do that,
Yeah.
and it's a lot of work, but it's rewarding when you see that you can change the quality of one person's life. It makes you feel so good,
Yeah.
and, that's what I strive to do, and, the more we can help more people, it empowers you to have more strength, more energy. I also take really good care of myself. I take so many vitamins every day, I do exercise, I keep really as positive as I can, and sometimes that's hard for people. People are all going through different things, and I went through some different things in my life too, getting divorced, I got remarried. The better part of the story is I've been married to the greatest guy, for the last 31 years, and, life changed, and I knew I had to do things, but, I have a support system around me of him. My ex-husband would never have been supportive. In fact, he made me sad, depressed, and unenergetic, but I feel better that, I put myself in an environment. I think everybody owes it to themselves to create
Yeah.
the best environment that's conducive to your feeling better.
Well, congratulations. You're
Yeah.
just really a great role model.
What
Thank
I
you.
love about you is that you were very proactive. Like, you're gonna tackle something and solve it. If you see a problem, you actually you take the lead and get in there and let's find a solution, which is a great way to handle something like that. Sunday, welcome to the Moms Club. Do you have a question, or tell us a little bit about yourself, and then do you have a question for Nancy?
Yeah, my name is Sunday Douglas. I live in Lafayette, Louisiana. I'm a registered nurse, been in healthcare for 25 years. I have got 2 boys, 22 and 16-year-old, and 2 sheepadoodles,
Woo! Oh,
toddlers.
wow.
I love all of that.
Um,
I have sheepadoodles and a nurse, so keep going. Yeah.
yes, they're out there scratching at the garage. They can't stand I'm in here doing something without them. Um So I have a question for Nancy. Everything in this show right now is resonating due to healthcare and MS and what I do for a living. I am providing oxygen therapy systemically with EBOO. So I wanted to ask Nancy, have you ever, with your physicians, Western, holistic, whatever, have they ever talked about oxygen and decreasing inflammatory processes in the MS?
I have not. I really, I know there's, well, I think if works for somebody, that's great. I've had a pretty good case of it. I've been, doing pretty well. I've never done it, but I know other people do.
Yeah. Yeah, what we're doing down here, it kind of resonates. I am performing a new procedure, EBOO. It actually oxygenates the blood, and we're seeing decreases in inflammation. So it's bringing the oxygen to the brain all the way, really down to your toes, and hitting all those areas. And you hit on something earlier with trauma, even mental trauma with divorces or loss, and
Mhm.
then that always triggers, a deficit in something, and then when you get into a major accident, it springs up that inflammation, and we've started noticing that just adding respiratory support systemically to those areas decreases inflammation. So I just didn't know if you had ever had any of those treatment plans before in your area, or know of anybody in your foundation that is, exploring that.
It's not one of the studies that we have ongoing, but if it's something that's, really working for people, I wanna look into it more and learn more
Yeah.
about
Yeah,
it.
because I feel like you're learning a lot of new things all the time, and in fact, when Nancy said that about trauma, it was
Yeah.
interesting because when I was giving birth, I had an emergency C-section, my baby was 10 weeks early. I developed Bell's palsy on the
Mhm.
table while I was delivering him, and I mean, it's like, and then they called the neurologist, so I didn't realize that was, a neurological thing. So, yeah, we're learning a lot more about all of that, so that's really interesting.
Yeah, thanks, Sunday, for bringing it up because we never really know what works for like Nancy said, each individual person, and I can see that being a huge benefit.
The MS Gala, which we went to, can you tell us a little bit about that? When is it this year? Who do you have on tap? Because that's a great event.
Everybody in the whole world should come. We're
So
our
fun.
33rd Race to Race MS. When we first started, it was at Aspen. It's now back in LA where I live. It's gonna be a really fun event, at the Century Plaza Hotel. It's a Fairmont Century Plaza. We always have the best entertainment. We have a great auction. The day after, we have all of our doctors all fly in, and we have this forum that is completely amazing. And if people can't actually come to Race to Race MS on June 5th, on June 6th, we'll be having this, and they can access that through a portal and be able to watch live what we do. And they can actually ask questions of the doctors as well, because we certainly have the most, brilliant team of doctors, and they're always coming and reporting on the latest and the best, research, because MS is evolving quickly, compared to every other disease. There's so much more happening, and the idea that, they get FDA approval in MS, almost one drug per year, that's pretty unprecedented, because I don't see that happening in other diseases. But it's important to be on top of it, and, and sometimes when you hear somebody else ask a question, it resonates with something you're going with, that you're going through in your life that is, hard to solve. And, you're probably not the only person going through it. So it's interesting to listen. So we'd love people to come. They can go to erasems.org. You can buy tickets. You can come. We always need great auction items. So if anybody wants to donate auction items, we have like the most coveted auction. We have a great fashion show this year with Legence. We're honoring a wonderful girl who was diagnosed about a year and a half, and she runs things at Disney. She's amazing. She's got such a wonderful attitude. We're honoring a girl named Naomi, and we always have a very star-studded crowd. We also have a lot of doctors there, and it's always very inspiring. And so I love that we're able to do this every year, and it is our fundraising tool, so that we take that money and we can fund, brilliant research with doctors who are gonna do very new, very cutting edge things, and that to us is really important.
It's a great event and it's an up event. You know what? Everybody was dancing at the end. I mean, it's a very up, fun,
Yeah.
inspiring event. So, yes, everyone in
Thank
the world, check it out and come and join. It's really great, and
Incredible
definitely
cause.
help a really important cause. And in fact, we even got one of our Zoomer moms. One year we donated the opportunity to be a Zoomer mom, and we had a Zoomer mom on the show as a result of the Race to Erase MS Gala. So thank you so much, Nancy, for joining us. It's been so informative, and I hope more people are inspired by what you've said and learn a lot and do their part to help. And thank you, Zoomer moms, for joining us. As always, we love having you on the show. It is so much fun. Check us out on social media. We are all over the place now. We have a YouTube channel, and we are on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. It's me just being silly most of the time. So I'm just doing fun videos about fun mom stereotypes that, aren't really like, that's not really me, just so you know. But it's fun. It's fun to do. Well, Julie, I can't believe the time has already passed. It always goes by so fast.
It does.
But we will be back. Oh, wait, hold on. Remember our motto.
Oh, yeah.
This is extremely important, ladies. Very important. What's our motto, Julie? If you don't laugh, sometimes what's going to happen?
You are going to cry. So keep laughing.
Keep laughing, ladies, and we will see you next time inside the Moms Club.